So I'll wait till a few people join. I got a new phone today, so I don't know if it looks more clear. I have an iPhone 13 mini now. Yeah, I had a job interview a few days ago. I've been looking for a part-time teaching job for mornings. And I actually went and I had an interview, and it could be helpful to hear some of the questions. I was caught off guard, even though I should have been maybe a little more prepared, but I kind of felt confident because I've already worked for a year and a half. And I had a show 2 nights ago at Oscars, where I usually always play. And instead of a lead guitar, we had a chepe, which is like a kamai string instrument with 2 strings, and really cool. We were doing our rock and roll covers, but he's playing with us too. And I put a YouTube short up about that. Got a few people. What's up? I had a job interview a few days ago, so I'm going to tell that story. And I might have another one tomorrow, but I think I won't go to that one. The first one I already had went well, and that's sort of the one I was going for, so I don't really need to go to the other one. Hey, Henji says, hey Tom, what's up? Who else do we have in here? Say hello. Then later tonight, in about an hour, I have to go to a bar, like walking distance away from my friend's birthday. So I thought I'd do a live stream now. Okay, so I'll just get into it. So yeah, and if you're interested in becoming a teacher here, and you're wondering how did I do it, there's a link in the description for the TESOL course I took, and from beginning to finish, they take care of everything from helping you come to the country, becoming certified, getting a bit of experience, and then lining you up with job placement as well. And it can be done online, which a lot of people like to do. You can chip away at the course in your free time at home, and it's a bit cheaper because you don't have to worry about accommodation or whatever, because the other one is in the country, which has a lot of benefits to it, but it's a little bit more expensive. And then if you're already a teacher, they offer a program for just finding a job. So yeah, anyways, and I've taken a little break from teaching for about 6 months. Yeah, 6 months or so, 6 or 7 months. And I thought I want to get back into it. At least what would be ideal is if I could just teach in the mornings and be home by like 11:30 or noon, and then I still have daylight to make videos or time to practice music. I'm in a few projects now, and but then still have some structure, like I'm getting up every morning and going and doing a few hours of teaching and still be connected to that kind of thing. So, and the drummer in one of my bands, works as a teacher at one of the schools, and he was telling me they really need people, and it's a language center called AII. And from my experience, the odds of being able to get part-time the odds are better if it's a language center. Like an international school, typically they want like traditional full-time, that's what they expect. In a language center, they do some classes in the morning and then some classes later on in the afternoon, and there's like a gap in the middle. So I was asking them, can I just do the morning chunk and then that's it? And after the interview, I got an email back saying that congratulations, I passed the interview, but and stay tuned for more information. Like, so they didn't tell me anything about how much they're willing to pay me or this or that. So I don't know still if I'm going to accept it yet until I hear more about it. But the interview though was interesting. So I go to this place, and it's kind of far away. It's like 25 minutes away, kind of south, towards where, if you've seen the video of the villa I made a video about, it's towards Takmau. And I guess that's where the HR department heads, that's the location where they work. And this school has many different locations. So there's one that's like only a kilometer away from where I live, but this job interview was at the far away one. So I show up and I have to go all the way up to the top floor, and then I'm waiting, and then they call me into a room, and there's 3 people there, and so I'm getting interviewed by a panel. And I've had maybe 4 interviews ever here, and this one was the most intense one. They were really like drilling questions. And some of the questions I'll try to remember that like I didn't really expect or prepare for were they asked me what is AII's vision. So it's like we're testing if I had gone and done research about their school and their mission statement and like what they stand for and all that kind of thing. And I had looked at the website, but I was doing it more in a way of, is this a place where I want to work, and what do the pictures look like, and what age groups. Some schools are only for the young age groups, and some I don't really want like kindergarten. I was trying to go to the website for that. I wasn't going there to like research and memorize their, which wouldn't be that hard. And so then she tells it to me, and it's like 3 things: discipline, quality of service, like discipline, quality of education, and like good service, something like that. And then she said, now explain how if we hired you, you could, bring something to the table for each of those things. And so then I start talking, and I'm answering about one of them, and I have to keep in my head what the 3 things even are while I'm just speaking out of my head. And in an interview situation, I always get nervous and my head gets scrambled, and so, I felt like it was, if you asked me after how did it go, it was like, ooh, like some questions I would realize I'm just talking, and like in my head I'm like, end it, shut up. Or I start noticing I'm using my hands when I'm talking in a way I wouldn't naturally do, but just because I'm nervous, I'm like waving my hands around, and I could see them looking at my hands and stuff like this. But they said after I got, congratulations, you passed the interview. But I'm trying to think, what else did they ask me? Another thing they asked me, it felt obvious, but I wasn't prepared for this, because they didn't ask me, I thought they would ask me, why should we pick you why should we hire you? But they didn't. What they asked me was, like, why did I choose AII to apply to? Like, out of all the schools, why did I wanted to throw an application into them? And imagine you're not ready for that, because in reality, what you've done, like I spent a whole day looking up just every school and sending out, so I was just mass sending out my CV to everywhere, right? Then you get a few bites, and I show up, and they're like, do you know what our mission statement is, and why did you specifically choose us to apply to? And now in retrospect, that seems like, come on, Tom, you should have been ready for that. That's not that abnormal of a question they could ask, but I was more ready for why should they pick me, and then I could say things I've done and have done well in evaluations and based on my experience, but I wasn't ready for why had I chosen them to apply to like that. So that's something you might want to be ready for. Oh yeah, and you should bring in your interview. They didn't tell me to, and it wasn't a big deal, because after it was later that night, they sent an email saying, congratulations, you've passed that interview. But we're partway through the interview, and she goes, okay, now can I see your passport and your work permit and your your stuff? And they had never they didn't tell me when they gave me an email saying come for the interview, they didn't tell me to bring those things. So it's not really my fault. I didn't realize that I had to bring it. They didn't even tell me that. So it's not like I forgot. I didn't know I had to bring it. And it ended up being okay. So I had to just tell them, yeah. So she goes, do you have your passport? Do you have everything? And so then I end up looking like imagine they see a few candidates that day. I'm the guy that like didn't, oh, I don't have it. I forgot. Like, you know what I mean? And you want every little edge you can. So I felt like, fuck, like. But what she really wanted to know, what they wanted to see is what visa do you have? And they want to know when is it expiring, or is it already expired? Because they want to know, like, do they have to help you get one and all that stuff. And so she's like, oh, like, you didn't bring it? And then I said, well, I just started telling her what type of visa I have, and I could tell, and then she's just writing it. That was what she wanted it for, I could tell. So she's, okay, EB visa, and I knew when it expires, and then, you know, then the work permit. I basically have everything except the work permits in Cambodia. Everyone's that has one, they always expire on the 31st of December, and then you get another one. Your workplace will automatically renew it for you. But I wasn't working like over that time, so like the one I have is just expired, you know what, like 2 weeks ago. But the rule is you have until like the end of March, I think, to sort it out. So it's like perfect time for me. That's another reason why it's perfect time for me to get a job, you know, part-time, and so then get the work permit sorted for another year, and then. So you should bring that stuff, and then even if they don't ask you to, bring it with you, because then they'll say, oh, we forgot to ask you, did you happen to bring your thing? And you're like, yes, I did happen to bring that stuff. And then they're like, oh, wow, you, Mr., you know, you look like you came prepared. Hang on. Can you give some tips about interviews there? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And if you like what you hear, you want to support the channel or send me some love, it's possible to send super thanks or donations and help support the channel. If you're out there looking for jobs too and you're wondering what schools these were, it was called the letters AII is the one I'm talking about. And then there was another school that answered my email saying they'll give me an interview on Monday, but I might not go. I responded to them now and I said, to clarify, I want part-time in the mornings. So if it's not even something that you could entertain, then let's not even go through with an interview then. So I'm waiting to see what they say. They might say, come for an interview anyway, and we can work it out maybe, and then I would, but. Steve Clemens says, did you bring your bases from Canada or did you buy them in Cambodia? The brown one, if you've ever seen my pictures or videos or whatever, you've seen me playing a bass, the one that's all like dark wood color and 5-string with no paint on it, the wood one, that's from Canada. It's my really good bass. It's a Warwick. But I was here for like a year and a half, and then in August, what's that, like 5 months ago, I went back to visit Canada, and like now that I know that I'm gonna stay here, that's when I brought the good Warwick back with me. So I've had it with me in Cambodia now for 5 months. But the yellow bass, it's right here. This one I bought this one in Cambodia, only $75 used. Facebook Marketplace is really good. A while ago, there was a person on Marketplace selling, the picture was just like 20 guitars leaning on stands and also some basses and stuff. And it just said, any single one, and they're all $45 each. So they're probably not like the highest quality, but a friend of mine got an electric guitar from that, and it's just all black. It looks like a Strat. It's fine. We were playing shows, like there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, you can buy anything here. There's music shops here. I made a video on music stores about a month ago. And it's not like I found the only one and went and made a video. There's lots of, like, I could probably think of 5 or 6 right now, and then and some of them have a couple locations. Like, there's totally music shops with everything. And a few of the shops are able to order anything in. And then also there's some websites, there's one called Thoman Music. It's kind of like my name, Thomas, but instead of an S on the end, there's 2 N's. So like THOMANN. And that's like a European music shop, but they deliver anywhere in the world. And I have friends that I haven't tried it yet, but they've ordered stuff from them to Cambodia. And it's a really reasonable delivery. I think it was like $40 or $50 they charge for the delivery. But then when it gets to Cambodia, it won't come right to your house. They have to give it to the post office, because then you have to go get it and like pay some tax on it too. So that's the only like shitty thing. But you can get anything you want. Like, you order it, you wait a week or two, and you get a notification, oh, my thing's at the post office, and you go there and pay some tax on it and take it home. A friend of mine ordered cymbals that way, I think. So you can order anything, or if you can find it in the shop here, you don't have to like order it. Do all of the gigs provide a backline? The one at Oscars does. The short I just recently posted, like, and I have a lot of that I play there often, that they have a total backline. Even the patch cable. Like, when there's a backline, when you're a musician, you usually show up with your instrument and then your own cable that you plug in, and then you walk over to the amp that's already there and you plug your cable in. This place, Oscars, the cable's already there, all ready to go, because it's all tucked away nice and behind, and it's just coming out perfectly where the bass player stands. So you take it and put it in. So that place, you don't even need your cable. But not always. There's a lot of shows where I end up having to plug my bass right into the soundboard where the microphones are. The way they work, all those sliders, each one is another option where you could plug something in at the top, and then that slider controls that one. So like, you'd have like 2 microphones in there, maybe the acoustic guitar. Then all of a sudden there's one other one in there. That's my bass going in there. Like, it's not really proper to do that. So I bought a DI box. I'll show that to you. When you're doing something like that, you can make it a little bit more nicer if you first plug into, it's called a direct in box. You go through this and then go into the mixer after going through this, and it makes it sound way nicer and more like a bass amp. Anyways, job interview stuff. Are there a lot of expats playing in Phnom Penh? Yes, totally. That place, Oscars, I was just telling you about, they do live music every single night. And I'd say out of all the bands, there's like 2 or 3 that are Khmer bands. And so you can imagine music every single night, and it's a different band every night. So like, there's lots of expat, like, where every member is like a white guy, old white guy from the UK, or that's what it usually is, or US. But I want to get a bass amp soon. It's just where I live right now. If you've ever seen the apartment tour I did, the stairs coming up are so narrow, and it's a lot of stairs too, so I can't, and bass amps are typically big. And I have my eye on one by a brand called Mark Bass, and they're known to be, they can have it compact and also very lightweight to pick up, but still super loud and high quality, but they're like a little bit more expensive. And I'm just waiting till the right time to order one. I think like when I move apartments from here, that's when I'm gonna like choose an apartment that's more suitable to bringing in and out gear and stuff, and then hopefully I'll have some money saved by then. That was kind of crap. I said that at the start of this. Today I just had to buy a new cell phone. I'm streaming from a new phone today, new iPhone 13 mini. my old phone, which was, I've been saying I want a new phone for over a year. It's like such an old piece of iPhone SE, like the really crap one. But part of the screen it's like it was, you could still see the screen looked fine, but it was dead to the touch. So like I couldn't press the letter P. So I'm trying to Google, my iPhone doesn't, and I can't put the P for phone, and it's like you have to turn it sideways, but not everything works. And you can't press, the send button is also right there, so I could type in a message and then I can't even send it to the person. Like, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I can't survive with half my touchscreen dying. Like, and then it would start, it's like, it couldn't tell, like it starts swiping even though I'm not touching it. Like, I was like, oh my God. I started finding out, someone recommended this phone shop, and they had a used iPhone 13 mini, 128 gig. I paid $400 and get a free case. And it's like 89% battery health. Okay, people are writing stuff here. Any tips for a musician coming over to Cambodia to teach? That's what I am. I'm a musician and a teacher. Well, you can there's music stores here that have lesson centers like inside in the back or whatever. I think one is called Sound School. Look that up. Sound School Cambodia. There's this guy I play with that he's a guitar teacher there. And I think that pays similar to English teaching, but a little bit more. Like maybe 12 an hour instead of 8 or 9 or 10. Yes, so David says, so I could teach music there, maybe part-time? Yeah, definitely. Full-time could be hard, because can you imagine how many students you would need? You would need like 15 students a day. So like, it's not gonna be like that. You'll have like 5 students that you see throughout the week here and there probably, or whatever. Hang on, I'm scrolling back here. A 210 speaker, Mark bass? Yeah. The one I want is the, I think it's called Mini Mark 802N or something. And it looks like a 210 little tall rectangle, like the two are on top of each other. And it looks like a combo amp, but from the back, if you pull out some plugs, the head can slide out, and so it's really not a combo amp. It's just the head is tucked in to make it look like that. So you can separate the head if you want. So if I had a really small show, or if I wanted to just bring the head or just do recording somewhere, and then also if I needed to upgrade, you can plug in another cab with it, so you can add to it too. Or if I was going to a show where I knew there would be a speaker there, I could just bring my head, like take that little thing out and bring only that. Hang on, I'm trying to read what people wrote here. Any similar companies to AVSC offering similar services? Yeah, there is a few. I know of one in Siem Reap, but I have a friend that he ended up leaving them because he thought it was just a total like rip-off joke, and a lot of people, just like 4 of them ended up leaving the course and couldn't get their money back. And that one takes place in Siem Reap. I think I don't want to talk about negative things, but especially when it's like secondhand information because I wasn't there, but they were called Travel Bud, and I think it's more expensive too. And then he had trouble getting a job, and he applied at the school that I got a job at, and they wouldn't call him back because they said he didn't have any experience on his resume. And I was trying to help him, and I asked them, like, why didn't you call my friend back? And they're like, he didn't have any experience. And I said, you hired me and I didn't have any experience. And they said, because they have a partnership with AVSC, they like trust the candidates coming from there. So that like took the place of having a little experience, and they were able to hire me because of that. Have you heard of other places in Cambodia helping teachers get experience and accommodation? Yeah, that's what I said. I know I'm reading old things now. Blah, blah, blah. Do you do any recordings at home? I used to a lot in Toronto, but now I haven't really. I brought my little interface. I have that red Scarlett Duo or whatever it's called, but I think through all the traveling, it might be effed now. Like I haven't tried to fire it up. what I do a lot, all my videos that have like the music in the background, I make all that, but it's like messing around with loops, Apple loops, but I layer them and chop them up and take just a piece of one and like, so they end up becoming original kind of. And sometimes I add real instruments to it. How old is the oldest teacher you've met? Old, man. I don't even know. Like probably. I never asked him how old he was. Old, man. Probably like 62 or something. Or let me think how old my dad is. No, this guy looked older than my dad. Yeah, it goes old, man. I know what you think. Sometimes you might worry. Oh, they only want bright-faced young kid, young, enthusiastic young people like who are like 19 to 22, and then they don't want a tired old dusty fart and you never will get a job and all that. It's not at all like they don't care about that at all. Maybe if you're talking about a position for primary kids, which is like the age before kindergarten, like so young, and kindergarten, and you go to a job interview and you're an old dusty fart old man, and the other candidate is like young nice like female, like they're gonna not hire you, you know, but because that type of kindergarten or younger primary or kindergarten or maybe even grade 1. I know male teachers that do that, but the odds are against you when it's that age group. They like to go with a kind-hearted female, like for the young groups. But other than that, like from grade 2 or 3 onwards, you could be like 70 years old. It doesn't matter at all. If you show up and you're like friendly and students don't complain, that's a big thing. It's sad to say, but a lot of these schools, at the end of the day, the bottom line is they're a business too, right? And they have targets and they're trying to grow every year and they're worried about revenue. So really, they're really worried about getting more students enrolled in the school and keeping parents happy. So that like, and then like the education and all that is like is a close second, but it's always like that's first. They'll add students in like halfway through the year, and it's like, well, how am I gonna get? You figure it out. Like they've already missed like a few months of stuff, and so it's not about if you're old or young. It's like are the students happy and the parents are happy and no one's leaving the school and you know and. Everyone's like, oh, we love Teacher Tom. He's so great. I just had a few comments the other day. Some of my students were like subscribers. I taught grade 8, so they were kind of older. They were like 13, 14. One of them wrote a comment, teacher, it's Philip. I'm just writing to say everyone in the class misses you, teacher. And I haven't even been there in like 8 months. So it's cool. I'm old too. You might not, maybe not old, but I'm not young. I'm turning 38 soon. So, there's people that are like 20. And compared to them, I'm a whole adult older than them. I'm 18 years more than them. Or like I have a friend that I did the course with that I still hang out with now who's still here. And I'm like 14 years older than him. I think he's 24. So it happens, but no one cares. Like everyone still hangs out with each other. Like that kind of age gap doesn't really matter. How much experience is preferable to get hired for your first job in Cambodia? I teach guitar and will be doing online teaching soon. I don't know. Any is good. Sometimes you'll see positions an advertisement for positions that are open or whatever, and you start reading, oh geez, this sounds good, and the pay looks good, and the school looks good, and then you get to the bottom and they're like, oh, like minimum 1 year or 2 year experience. That's pretty common. Like if you have between 1 year and 2 years, like that's what they want for the good jobs usually. Because if you do only part of a year, they'll be like, well, what happened? Like you didn't even do one. like you didn't even do a class from start to finish. Like, so it's not a true full school year. Like, I think that would be nice to say you did one from start to end. What I did is like the last, like 30% of a year, like the last third of a year, and then I did the whole year of the next year, and then I took off. I'm trying to think what else did they ask in the interview. I went off on a tangent there because people are asking stuff. But so another thing they asked was, what would I do with a student who's, they're misbehaving and they keep talking when I'm talking and this and that. But they say, not just what would you do in that situation, they'd say, so that's happening, and you've already talked to them you've already talked to them a million times, like, and now it's like happened every day, and now, like in this moment, you've just told them like for the 5th time not to, and then like now what do you do? Like, or why are they or they refuse to do their work? I think that's what they were saying. So I'm like, hey, everyone, open your book to this page and start working on this. And they just go, but I'm not taking out my book. And like, Steve says, do you have aircon in all the schools you teach in? Well, I've only taught in that one school where I taught, and there was air conditioning in every room. But you get power outages. So you spend hours making a PowerPoint slide. Not every school would make you do PowerPoints, but mine had a projector, so it's really awesome if you make a PowerPoint because you can just point at it and talk about stuff, and then click next one, and then and you can have you can embed like a video too, or like all kinds of stuff, right? So we're right in the middle. It's going so well, and then like nice air conditioning, great PowerPoint. There's audio coming with it too, and then like black. Starts to get hot, and I have 25 minutes left to fill. Open the door, but it's like, do you open the door to let some breeze? But it's also like the tropical humidity, or because then you're letting any air conditioning that's still left in the room will fly out. So it's like so the air conditioner has stopped, and you're like, do we let a breeze in, or do we try to like conserve whatever coolness is like in here right now? What I usually do is, when that happens, I'll be like, okay, because it takes about 15 minutes for it to get hot in the room, because it slowly goes, the air conditioning goes away. So I'll be like, I need you to watch me for like, we're gonna like drill this into you in 15 minutes. And I would give them like an express thing. And then the second it starts to get hot, like I'm sweating, we go, and they allow this, like everyone out, like just go outside. It's kind of like recess, like stay close to the room, outside the room, like, because as soon as it comes back on, you're back in. But so if the air conditioning went off, we were allowed to be like, okay, get out. Like, and the kids would all be cheering, like, yeah. Then try to get them back. Okay, so who knows what a phrasal verb is? They're all like, recess. Is lunch provided at the school? No. I've heard of that in other, I'm going to put this fan on. I turned off I was worried about the noise, but I don't care anymore. Would you ask me? Oh yeah, lunch. I've heard of that, maybe at like fancier schools. That's not a wild question. It didn't happen at my school. I think it's not that common in Cambodia. I think that happens in other countries though. But I have heard of that it's kind of like they'll order a big thing for all the students, or it kind of gets catered, like it gets brought in every day. Nice little cooked little meals. And then there's, from like videos I've seen or whatever, there's like 1 or 2 left for the teacher and the teacher assistant, and then you get free lunch too, kind of. You get a little kid's meal. But no, I didn't have that. What they have though often is the street vendors will all park themselves right outside the schools, and their stuff is really cheap, and they're ready to go. They start preparing like at 10 a.m. for like 2 hours. They're getting everything, so you just come up and everything's like $1.50 or $1. And you're like, okay, give me a hot dog thing and give me some chicken and rice and give me some fruit. Like there's a whole bunch of different cart. Everything's like $2 or less. Like. David, what was the European place you mentioned where you order stuff from and collect at the post office? It's spelled THOMANN. I remember because it's like my name, Thomas, but take away the S and you just put two N's. I think it's like either UK or it's Dutch. I forget what it is. Some kind of really big music company, and it looks really great when you go to the website. They have everything and it's good prices. My guitarist has ordered a bunch of stuff from there. So you put in your Cambodia address so it can tell you the shipping, and so then you pay them the price of it plus the shipping, and then when it hits Cambodia it'll automatically get sent to, I think, the post office, and you'll get an email being like, oh, your thing arrived, go pick it up at this place, and you go there, and then you'll have to pay some kind of a tax when you go pick it up. That's how it works. So you just sort of order it and wait for the email, and you go get it and pay the tax. What do schools think of the Canadian accent? I'm from Winnipeg. I had a friend in my class who's still here now, who's from Winnipeg. He's fine. And my drummer that helped sort of referred me to this job where I did the interview the other day, he's from Ontario, but he has the accent. You're like, freaking right. And it doesn't matter, they like it. They consider that like not an accent. You know, like if it's just American or Canadian, like when they consider you a native speaker but you have an accent, it's like Australian or New Zealand or UK, like British accent, South African accent. But I don't know. It can depend what kind of schools. Like I've seen some male teachers that have a really proper British accent get some high-paying jobs. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I wonder if it's because you just sound extra. You sound extra like studious with such a nice British accent. Like, but they're also really good and qualified. But. David, what you drinking tonight? Cambodia beers. South African. Greetings from South Africa. I'm from Toronto in Canada. Yo, whoever's from South Africa, was it David? Yeah. There's a meat shop here that all the South Africans go crazy about called Super Meats. Super Meats. I think it's probably like meat. And apparently they have everything. And then on Fridays, I think it's Friday evenings or maybe it's Saturday. I think it's Friday evenings they do a braai, which I didn't know what that was until I moved here and met a bunch of South African people. But it's like a big, awesome barbecue, basically. With all the fixins and all the sauces and marinades and stuff. Yeah. A braai. And they say it like that. They say it like they're so proud. Braai. Like. Do you know any teachers that come to Cambodia with a child? Yes. Or they come here and like marry a woman here and have a child here. Like, and then I've worked with some teachers where their child is at the same school we're working at. Like, yeah, David, I saw I saw this guy singing Bob Marley, "No Woman, No Cry," but he was saying, "No charcoal, no braai. Dee 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 dee. No charcoal, no braai." All the South Africans were crying. Yeah. Oh, I was out because of the time difference. I was at a bar full of South Africans, all in the dressing up for the rugby game, the final one. I was like there for the moment, in slow motion. South Africa won the whole rugby thing. I think I made a short about it. You'd have to scroll back to whenever that was. And I put like triumphant music, and everyone's cheering and hugging, and like. And even part of the bar, like I'd say almost 40% of the bar was the other side. Whatever, I forget what the other team was, New Zealand or something. Yeah. It was a cool place called Hideout. It's kind of like you go into this small thing, and then there's some stairs going up, and then at the top of the stairs you open a door, and then all of a sudden, whoa, you're in a huge brick. It almost makes it feel like a speakeasy or like a really cool bar you wouldn't know about. Like, David, where do you recommend a musician performing Phnom Penh? Oscars, easy to play. There's lots of places. There's a place called Cloud Bar that they do open mic on Thursday. There's a place called Backstreet in Bassac Lane right here. It's like an outdoor patio. I have a show there in February, and then in March too. There's this like jazz guitar player I'm playing with, and we played there once, and they liked it, so now they said, okay, we want you, but we're already booked till February, so we'll get you in February, and then we'll get you back again in March. So they gave us 2. Hopefully it can turn into every month. Even twice a month would be nice. I want the money. We could get somewhere else once a month on a different part of the month, and then that'll be twice. Okay, where else? There's a place called The Den. No, sorry, not The Den, The Deck. D-E-C-K, The Deck. Another one is The Tin Hat. Well, you make an agreement when you book the show. Like they sort of, the norm is like $50 a person, right? Like in the band, usually, and then you drink for free, beers. You can't order anything you want, like beers. The Backstreet, the place called Backstreet, what they do is they'll give you money, and then it's not like unlimited beers. You get a $15 bar tab, and that's to use on anything. So you could get food with that, which is interesting. Like a lot of the bars, you just get free draft beers, period. That's it. So Backstreet will give you $15 to use any way you want. And beers here are only $1. So there's no way, and I don't drink 15 beers, you know what I mean? I could have even if I had 6 beers, I still have $9 left. Like then you can get chicken wings for like $3.50. So I might spend $10 and I could get wasted and have chicken wings, and there's still $5 left on that tab. Like, so 15 bar tab. That sounds measly, but here you could have a really good. That's enough for 2 people. Like, and then my guitar player, he also has like we each get 15 bar tabs. So if we bought a pizza and shared it, it's like really easy to. What else are you guys asking here? Are there bands playing funk and R&B? Yeah, there's a little bit of everything. That's not the most common. Is like rock and blues rock, and then like pop and stuff. But yeah, there is. I've seen some funk stuff. Or indie rock, and there's some metal shows. And there's DJs with hip hop people. Nick's asking how'd the interview go. It was really more intense than I thought it would be. A lot of these interviews feel more like a formality. The other ones I've had, it's like you send them a CV, they kind of maybe talk to you in a chat or on email or maybe in a webcam quickly, and they arrange a time to come in for the interview. And then when you go in for the interview, it feels like, oh, it's just a formality. Oh, so sign here. Like you're already got the job in the bag. Or it's like a couple questions and it's really like not intense. And this one was like a traditional intense interview. Like, and it was like a panel of 3 of them asking me questions. And they asked me stuff I wasn't prepared for, which I feel kind of stupid. Like I should have been prepared for it. I talked about this earlier, but I guess we have like new people not here now. But they asked me, you think that they were going to ask, you think they would ask, like, why should we hire you? Like, tell us why you're the right person for the job. But they didn't ask me that. They asked me, why did I choose their school to apply to? And it's like, they know damn well I applied to like 100 schools and they're not special at all, you know what I mean? And I'm down like, oh, because I looked at so many and yours was the... And she's like, what's our school's vision? Like, as if I've done research on what their mission statement of their whole school is, you know what I mean? Like the 3 things they stand for, like kind of thing. Like, and I've farted my way through that, like I didn't know that, and then, and now that's making you flub, and now you're not fresh anymore for the next question. You're like in a flub state. Like. And so I walked out. Oh yeah, and then they also asked me, okay, so can we see your passport? And when they sent me an email asking me to come in for the interview, it was just like a date and the time and come here and stuff. They didn't tell me I had to bring any documents because they wanted to see, what visa you have and when does it expire, and because I guess they want to know do they have to get that for you right away or what? Where do you stand with all that stuff? And so it wasn't my fault. They didn't tell me to bring that stuff, but still, imagine they're interviewing a bunch of people. Now I look like the guy who's like, oh, can we see your thing? No, I don't have it. I forgot, like, or whatever, But I was able to tell her I have this visa, this is when it expires, and I have this work permit, and blah, 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 blah. So she's writing it down. That's all she really needed to know anyway, so it was fine. Then I walked out of there like, oh, well, like that was kind of intense, but... And then later that night, this was like two days ago, later that night I get an email, like, congratulations, you passed the interview. And then it was like, stay tuned for more information about like documentation and all that. So I don't know, like if they asked me how much do I expect per hour, and I know that they're not going to pay a lot. So I said, can you pay like $10 an hour? And I have 1.5 years experience too. And she's like, ooh, are you flexible with that? And I was like, oh, well, we'll see. So if they come back with like 7, like I'll flex down to 9 maybe, but that's about it. So like there's a chance I passed the interview, but I don't know what they're going to offer me, right? So it's not fully in the bag yet, but I passed my interview. You gotta dress professional. I wore my best suit, no suit jacket, it's too hot. I had like a white dress shirt with a tie and like suit pants. And I have this one, I have a few of those kind of outfits for when I was working, right? But I have this one in particular is my more fancier one. It's like a skinny tie that's gray with kind of like checked lines on it, like plaid kind of lines on it, and it looks really cool. And then the pants are very similar to the tie, so they like match. And the shirt is like slim fit, so it looks really clean and nice, not like baggy in weird places and stuff. It's like the collar goes good around the neck. Then I had sleeves rolled up, and I had a nice watch on, and I like freshly shaved the old chrome dome right down to the wood. Went in there like $1 million, and that's what's most important. And I tried to like eye contact and be, every time they say stuff, I was trying to look like I'm positive and I'm excited about it, and I miss teaching so much, and you have to look like not Mr. Deadface, like. So I tried to do all that, but I was getting flustered half the time too. I'm trying to remember what else they asked me. They're going to ask you what do you expect to be paid? Like, what do you want to be paid? And don't be afraid. They're not going to like fire you or not choose you because of your answer. Like, let's say, oh, I'm scared to say too high because it's only my first teaching job anyway. I shouldn't say too high. Like, don't aim low. Because the worst they'll do is they'll say, well, here's what we can offer you, and it'll be they're not going to be like offended and not call you back because you said a high number. You know, and if you say a low number, they'll just say, okay, sure. Like, you know what I mean? That's lower than we were going to say to you. Like, so you don't go low. Don't say low. That's pretty good. 9 hours. Like when I worked at the international school, if you work out the hours, it's like a lot of people. When I worked at the international school, I was making like 1,300 in a month. So what's that? If you're doing 40 hours a week, then in a month, it's 1,600 hours. No, 160 hours. Tired. Yeah, so I was only getting like $8.12 an hour when I worked at the international school. That's how you get 1,300 a month. But and a lot of people make like 1,000 a month or 1,100 a month, which is less, right? I'd say 1,100 is really typical for a lot of, especially your first job. 1,100 is only like $6.87 an hour. But you're not teaching for all that time, right? You're at the school for 40 hours a week, but you might teach like 4 hours in that day. You might only have 4 classes, and speckled throughout the day you have periods where you have no class, like you have spare periods constantly throughout the day. Let's say there's 8 periods in the whole day, and you'll do like 2 classes, have a break, lunchtime, another break, a class, a break, and 2 classes. It's like something like that. Like, and every day is a little bit different. So you have full hour-long time. Sometimes you have 2 spares in a row. So it's like, oh my God, I have 2.5 hours of just nothing, and that 687 is coming in every hour. Like you're getting paid all that time. If you counted just the time that you're in the classroom teaching, then you're only working like 100. Like then you make something like 13 an hour if you're counting only the teaching time. But you're at the school for 8 hours a day. So if you counted all those hours you have to be at the school, I was only making like $8.25 an hour. But with that job was full-time, so you get paid vacation, you get like benefits, and you get pension and paid holidays and stuff like that. Mosquitoes. So when you're part-time, you don't get a lot of that stuff, I'm pretty sure. So that's why I think I can ask for a little more. Plus, I thought I want to do only mornings with them. This job I'm talking about where I interviewed I want to do part-time for just the mornings. And in my head, I thought it was going to be 3 hours, like 3 classes, and then it's like 11 a.m. and then I just go home. In the interview, I find out it's like a class and then a break and then another class. So it's only going to pay me 2 hours, even though I'll sort of have, because I'm going to show up a little bit early, obviously, like 15, 20 minutes early. And then there's like this break in the middle, and then there's another class. Then after they have meetings sometimes, or you have to pack up and stuff. So it's like, I'm going to be there for 3 hours, but she was telling me they're only going to pay 2 hours. And then I'm like, oh God, like, if you're only paying me 2 hours, I need 10 an hour. Like I can't get all dressed up and pay tuk-tuks and go there and then walk away at the end of the month with like 200. Like I can't, like, it's not worth my time at all. So that's why I said 10. Nick, yeah, but that means you're teaching for 40 hours a week. Do you have a Cambodian teaching assistant? Steve says. There's a teaching assistant in the class up until like grade 3. I think from grade 4 and higher, your teacher's by themselves. Because by that age, they're not like pooing their pants and crying and stuff. If you tried to apply as a substitute teacher, I've never seen jobs like that ever. What they do at schools, like when a bunch of people quit, they just tell all the teachers, hey, remember that spare period you have at 10:30? No, you're taking over for that teacher that just quit now for the next like 2 weeks till we find someone. You just start losing your spare periods. They use the existing teachers to be substitutes. They try to shuffle it evenly amongst everyone so no one's getting, like we all get equally shit on. Covering for the empty holes or whatever. So part-time is enough to keep your visa. Yep. Teachers spend around 25 hours per week in class. That's right. It can be more, but that's a good guess. I think I had 24 hours, which was the lowest out of all my colleagues. Like, the person next to me had like 27 teaching hours. What I had was 6 classes of grade 8s, 6 different classes, and in each class there was 25 kids. And I see them 4 times a week, all the classes. So that's 24 times I'm seeing classes. So that's 24 hours. And I was getting like $1,300 a month. Basically, for this part-time thing, after the tax gets taken off and after I calculate what I spend on tuk-tuks, and what I have left over as my thing left over, I want that to be 300 or more. Below that, I'll be like, sorry. And I'm actually good. There's lots of teachers that go in there and they go, oh, do coloring book day, or they just put a video, like, I would be actually good. Like, I deserve it anyway. Canadian International School in Copeak hires them. So does the school I work at now. Hires who? Hires what? Teacher assistants? Oh, substitute teachers. Yeah, I don't know. At my school, they're always trying to cut corners budget-wise. Like, that's probably why they weren't doing it at Western. Yeah. They would talk about how that's a cost, like don't call in sick last minute and give heads up notice and stuff like that. Or if you quit all of a sudden, they don't give you your last pay. Like if you don't give them a 30 days notice before you quit, they hang on to your last like half paycheck or something. And they say the reason is because you've left them now scrambling and they have to pay for a substitute. But that's happened, and they don't pay for a substitute. They keep that person's money, and then they force us to cover the classes. They keep that last paycheck, and they don't hire a substitute. They lay it on us. They just spread it out. They're like, okay, Tom, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, now at 10:30, where you had a free period, they're not free anymore for the next like 2 months or whatever. You're taking over for that guy's class, and then Jillian, you're gonna take on Wednesdays. You're doing this, and that. Like they just sort of hand them out, so spread it out to everyone gets a little bit to cover that, like, and then they keep that money. But I guess yeah, it must be a thing because they would talk about it like that's what they had. Well, we have to keep that because now we have to hire a substitute, but they never actually hired anybody, and they wouldn't pay us more for that. What they would do is be like lenient on deadlines, like for our admin, because they've like given us more work to do now. So they'd be like, okay, you can hand in your lesson plan like a day or two late if you need more time or whatever. Have you tried to teach homeroom? That's what I'm doing now, and it's better pay. Is that kind of where you teach core subjects like science, math, and English or something? What's homeroom mean? you're like with them for 3 hours or something, right? The answer is no, I haven't. I've only taught English. So yeah, dress up nice for the interview. If you get an interview here, dress up really nice. You should bring anything you have so far, like passport with your visa is in there, and work permit. Like bring any of that stuff because they want to see like what you have. She also asked me like, "Oh, do you have your high school diploma?" Like I'm just gonna be like, "Yo, yeah," like a scroll. I was like, "Yeah, I have a high school diploma." And even the TEFL certificate, she was asking about that. Like I looked like the guy that didn't bring any documents, but they didn't tell me that to bring anything. So now you know, learn from my mistake. It wasn't really a mistake, but learn from my experience. And you should like dress super nice and shave and like, I think they don't demand that you, if you're like a beard guy or a man bun ponytail guy, like I think it's fine. People do that stuff, but if you're just indifferent and you just are lazy, like shave, you know what I mean? Like try to look like you're going to a wedding or something. Look good. And then just act really friendly and maybe research. Even if you apply to a million places like I did, and then you get a response finally, an interview for this place, then now you can just focus on that one place and maybe research what is their mission statement and their vision thing and their, it'll be on their website somewhere, inspiration, leading by example, and quality, and like stuff, like find what their thing is in case they ask you. And then even if they don't ask you, imagine if you pull it out, they ask you some question and you reference that mission. Well, that's a good question because, based on your mission statement, this, blah, blah, blah. Like imagine if you threw it in one of your answers, then they can see that you really like dug deep in looking into them and stuff. It's a good idea. Obviously I was doing a good job of that. I had 3 of them interviewing me at like a panel. And so as I was talking, I was trying to make sure I like look at all of them. And I don't know about you guys. It's tough. I'm more like an introvert person, so it's hard for me to even hold eye contact with one. And I'm just like, I was saying this earlier, and I start talking with my hands in ways that I never normally do, and way overly too much. I can see them; their eyes are following my hands and stuff. To the point where like them looking at my hands was distracting me from what I was saying, and I'm a scrambled mess waving my hands. I still passed the interview. David says, "Tom, can I join you for a beer when I come to Cambodia?" Of course. All of you can. Come see me play. I always play. I have gigs like, 2 or 3 times a month, usually, or sometimes more. So there's always one coming up. And sometimes they pop up out of nowhere because now I've played in a couple groups, and the people in those bands I play in, they play in other bands, and start to get put into threads on Telegram and Messenger of group chats, like with other maybe they needed a bass player one time, so like now I'm in that thread, and now you become part of like the music network sort of, and put on. So then a gig comes, someplace contacts like a female singer, and they're like, "We need you for this Saturday." And she just says yes right away, right? You want to get the gig. She says yes, not knowing who her band is going to be. This is hypothetical. And then in the thread, okay, this date at this venue, like who can do bass and who can. And I got this, okay, blah, blah. All right, where can we jam? Okay, here. And then here's the list of songs. And then you learn them, and then we run through it at a jam, and then we go do the gig. So even though I'm only officially like in 2 bands, I'm like on call for any number of things that could pop up. So that's cool. Why teach in Srak Kamai? I don't know. A YouTuber's Thai wife dies of dengue 3 months ago. Do you know anyone who has been sick with dengue? I heard actually where I worked at, my old boss got it. I think she's okay. She didn't, like it was serious enough where she had to stay home, and I think she even went to the hospital, but she was not fatal. It affects people differently, I've heard. So if you don't know what that is, dengue is you get a mosquito bite that makes you like horribly sick. It's like a disease or something, or a sickness that you get from a mosquito. I get a zillion, but I probably get like 2 bites a day at least here. And just in the last 2 days, it's been worse in my apartment. It's like they're around. Yesterday, I killed like 5 around my ankles. And I've never had dengue, so it's not like, oh, I got 1 mosquito bite, I have it. Like, but especially if you're in the far out jungle and away from the city, I've heard that's where it's more, you can get it more likely. But this person that had it is in the city, so you can get it from any dirty mosquito or whatever. And it's like, I've heard it's like you get the flu, but it can range from like feeling like heavy flu symptoms to like times 50, like, oh, and you're like bedridden and all your muscles hurt, or you could even die from it. So that's what it is. I guess you could Google it. Snow shakes. I still remember you back in 2022 exam, I think. Exam? All right, well, I gotta go to my buddy's birthday thing really soon. So do you have any last questions? I wanted to go like basically now. Oh, so you were a student, so I was invigilating your exam. Cheaters. Yeah, no problem. James says, thanks for the info. Stay tuned. Go find like your favorite video of mine and share it if you want to help the channel, or press like on it. These live ones are kind of just for in the moment anyway, even though they post. But if you want to help me out, go find like some of the, the real videos with the jingle and everything at the start. Find your favorite ones, or ones that maybe you know someone that wants to teach or whatever. Or if you didn't know, I've been doing this for like 2 years. So I have playlists that are organized with all the different cities in Cambodia. Battambang has some really cool videos I made at a crocodile farm and the killing caves. And I took a railway train to get there, like a local railway train. Go dig into my playlists, and then you can help me out. I know it's tough, not everyone can send money or this or that and to support me, but clicking like or things like that help me catch a wave of the algorithm, because it's, that would be nice. Check it out and share it. All right. Until next time, remember, how you spend your days is the way you spend your life. It's never too late to start tripping out.